Hello there, this is KT Tank signing back on, just showcasing today the Talespire out by Bouncy Rock Entertainment. Um, I've previously posted a build of a village, and today I'm going, well, not a village, I'm sorry, a pub. And today I'm showcasing a possibly encounter map. Now, I do have a little bit of story. It's commonplace, but it's an easy one for beginners to get behind, and it's easy to follow. Essentially, the story behind this, I'm thinking about possibly using it in a campaign I'm currently running, is the local village has been having a problem arise lately where travelers are going missing, larger groups are being attacked by goblins, and it's all happening along one old trade route. Now, hunters in that area have noticed the decrease of wildlife, and it's made villagers believe that's probably a sizable collection of goblins. Normally, if it was just a small group, the sheriff would gather a posse and take care of it. But a larger group, it would be difficult to do. The sheriff's getting old, and the villagers aren't warriors. They're mostly just farmers and tradesmen, so their combat prowess isn't high. And while one of them could probably handle a goblin one-on-one, a large number of goblins would be a problem. And while it hasn't been shown signs yet that there's enough goblins to start raiding the village, that is a possibility that may occur in the future. So they've decided to band their money together and hire out adventurers to clear out the problem. Now they put out the call, and y'all are the first group to arrive. They've went over the problem with you, discussed what paths they think the goblins are living off of, or at least give you a general idea where to look, but they did have a problem where a group of young villagers thought they could be up to the challenge and make the money for themselves, and they left earlier, but they've disappeared, and the villagers are worried about them. So they ask you to also rescue them if you find signs of, well, find them. And if they're already deceased, at least bring back the remains. So off you hurried from the village. Going down this old trade route, your forward scouts have found a probable path the goblins are using to attacking when using the route at this old bend in the road, where any carriages would have to slow down to make the turn. And with the trees and foliage around, it'd be a good place for an ambush. Also, your scout noticed a path off to the right with debris along it, and he thinks that's where the goblins are coming from. So your party heads down the trail, and behind a large boulder they find a small hole in the side of the mountain face. Now this is a small entrance. Your forward scout does see paw prints of possibly wolves and goblins in the dirt, so it seems like a probable area where the goblins are staying. Now, with it being small, that means your small characters won't have a problem getting into the area, but your medium size would have to squeeze, which means they'll be on their hands and knees to get into the cavern itself. But when they do, they'll find a old, dank, and dark corridor that they'd have to file down one by one. And as they do, they come upon a strange sight. They find a doorway. Behind the door, they can hear the sounds of canines. And with the paw prints, y'all figure out it's probably where the wolves are. As your druid may cast hide from animals, y'all may decide to use wild empathy or something else to try to calm these wolves down. But you should know that the wolves are hostile. These are mounts, they've probably been taught how to be guard animals. So they know anyone who's not one of their handlers is probably an enemy. So the DC for making peace with them is going to be high. But if you manage to do so, you could probably sneak through here. To a degree, anyways. If you don't, then you have a fight on your hands. Now, I did put a large group of wolves here. You can put however many you want. You can have much fewer wolves. I just put this to show a pack here. This would be a higher CR encounter than what you would expect for a low level party. That's just because I have a higher level party in mind for this. Anywho, once you fight your way through, or sneak your way through, or however you want to handle it, you'll make your way down through a small corridor, and you'll see some campfire light coming from the left. Now this choke point here is probably where you'd start being attacked by goblins. Because they're going, unless you snuck your way through, they'll have heard the wolves howling or barking or whatnot, so they'd had plenty of time to post up. Perhaps they'll be hiding behind a pillar. Perhaps you'd have ranged goblins standing on boulders trying to get shots down into you. Or, on boulders or between boulders, just trying to have cover while firing at you. This will be a nice little fight. I'd probably be a CR +2 for your party at the least. I don't know. CR3 is kind of a boss fight, so CR2 would probably be a good... Well, CR +2 would probably be a good encounter. After handling the goblins, you will notice that they do have... They've been here a while. They have a pretty large pile of animal bones and parts, creature bones, probably even human and possibly even orc. I certainly wouldn't doubt any of that. And they'd be piled against a wall away from where the goblins are camping. But you have also noticed some signs of organization and development, as one of the goblins probably was a blacksmith. Because you do find a small goblin smithy here with an anvil, forge, some armor, some weapons, even some arrows, all either being processed or already completed, just setting ready to be used. Now, investigating further down this short little, into this room, you find a small storage room with human-sized barrels and crates filled with either rotting foodstuff, fresh foodstuff, or anything in between, plus perhaps crafting supplies, drinks, and whatnot. Excuse me for a sec. Once you could even store special trade goods that the adventurers could collect and sell for a profit here. So once you've investigated, you could also find other things, like behind the sign you might find a hidden small locked door where you could have a possible other engagement down. I'm still thinking about how I want to do that, but I was thinking possibly, since I'm developing this for my campaign I'm running myself, to have perhaps some some quarters back here for more goblin development, or perhaps a dungeon of something else. Because if you notice, this isn't a cavern. The stone looks worked, so it could be an old ruins of dwarven make. It could be something else entirely. But it's obviously been a while since everything's falling apart. Now, that being said, as your party continues exploring, behind a curtain, which I don't have access, I'm still trying to figure out how to display that, but behind a curtain or set of doors or walls, whatever you want to say, you'll find a short torture chamber. You have some goblin-sized stockades and cages, perhaps with goblins in them, as well as torture devices and an execution platform, all designed to hold at least medium-sized creatures. And on the far side, you'll find a small cage filled with some humans. And these could easily be the humans that the young villagers that went missing, or at least the survivors. You could rescue these, send them about their way, or perhaps leave them, because on the far side of them, you see an entranceway into a larger cavern with some stairs leading up. So, however you want to deal with this, once your party goes through that, you'll find yourselves essentially in the throne room. Up the grand stairs, you find the goblin leader sitting on his throne with his two advisors standing beside his throne, ready to aid him. His bodyguards bracketing the stairs. Now, this should be your boss battle. So, CR +3, or however you want to, or even higher if that's what you want to go with. Because some encounters might be a little bit too difficult for your adventurers right off the bat. But that's up to you. This could be an easy fight depending on how your adventurers handle it. So, I've always kept in mind that whatever plan I come up with, my adventurers like to find an alternate route that I just didn't think about to make the battle much easier and go in their favor. But however they decide to handle it, this should be the boss battle for this stage of the encounter at least. Because they will see that the bosses set himself up fairly well here. His advisors have their little altar to whatever twisted god goblins worship. They have some beds for the advisors and the goblin leader himself, piles of treasure, containers of various loots, maybe some valuable trade goods in the bag, some potions being crafted and stored back here, maybe even some spell books, who knows. And in the very back, a pit into darkness. Perhaps this is where he executes people himself by kicking them or throwing them into the pit. Or perhaps it's an access point to lower levels, and that's where the goblins came from. That's all up to your GM or DM to decide. Now, in my head at least, these are a pair of goblin commandos, a goblin mage, and a goblin priest, and the leader himself is a goblin blood mage. Not blood mage, I'm sorry. Blood rager. So he'll have the charisma to be a leader, but you don't want to get into melee combat with him. He's going to hurt you. He's going to rage. He's going to use whatever buffs he can do, cast on himself. Perhaps long arm to give him better reach. And he's going to swing his giant goblin horse slicer, horse chopper to hurt you bad. So, and they'll be attacking from above, so they'll have advantage there. So, anyways, that should be a challenging fight. I'm not going to say it will be, just because my players can be quite clever sometimes. But that's just my take on things, and just to give you an idea of what you can do with this level. Now, with all that being said, I do like this app. It makes construction of such encounters easy. I can easily expand this. So this was just a quick, pretty much a quick build. And in the future, I'm thinking about them finding the key on the leader to this locked door and finding a larger stage back this way. And down in the pit, who knows? Maybe going into the Underdark, where they'll find stranger things waiting for them. Perhaps the goblins were pushed up from drow activity from below. Or perhaps a shadow or umber dragon or something to that effect. But anyways, that's all for later. This is KT Tank signing off. I hope you have a wonderful day.